sending data. Look at that. See, we had a misfire. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Screw it. We'll go back to here, and I'm just going to pretend that just act like it's a normal show. And I'm going to put a theme song in there. I was chilling. I was doing this. There's the spaceship. That's finally going by. All right, I feel about the overall broadcast now. Instagram and Substack people, I apologize for the replay or whatever. And then we'll get back to this. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. At Hal Sparks on Venmo. And I believe PayPal. No, it's at B26354. Anyways, hi, how are you? Good to see you. So I was already up and running, and then it just decided not to be up and running. So, and people on Instagram will back me up on this, I would say, clearly. But we're powering up. There we are. People are starting to arrive. Excellent. So share the show out. It annoys the maggot in your neighborhood. It's a great way to agitate the maggot near you. Thank you, Catherine, being the number one to hit the like. Just hit the like, everybody. That's the other thing. Trick the algorithm. That's right. Don't be afraid to fool the algorithm. Write something in the comments below. Say something hello. I don't know. Why am I? All right. There you go. And lucky number 43. Excellent. You can do it. Hi. Hello. Hey. Hi. How you doing? Facebook people, you can now stars me, I think. Yeah. I don't know. Lots to cover today. Oh my gosh. Irma Gersh. Here's what happens. You're gonna join chat room. Come here for a second. Let me chit chat with you when we get up at your business. As you know, this morning before the show, I had to watch a bunch of stuff that is the job of my job, which is watching awful people talk shit about normal people like you and myself, and also try to polish Trump's turds all day long. Now, over the course of the afternoon, I do a similar thing and kind of picking up what happened maybe during or after. And you run across a couple of things. I'll give you an example. Like this shithead on Dr. Phil McCracken's show, Inside RFK Jr.'s Health Agenda 100 Days In. Okay, and during this, let me show you a quick snippet.
And of 84 years old, we spend $12,000 a year per patient, per capita, and we have a lifespan of 79. We used to have the same lifespan as they did in Europe, but the Europeans have now moved 6 years ahead of us, and we've stayed stagnant.
So we're spending 4 times as much.
Oh my God, it must be the medicine that's the problem. We're spending all this money, and we're not getting the same health outcomes. We're all okay. Get the point. All right. Real quick, may I? In this blather that he talks about, he cites the fact that we spend money on chronic disease. 95% of what we spend on illness in this country is chronic disease. That's because most people in this country are baby boomers and older, or people who have lifelong deficiencies that they were either born with or an accident that occurred when they were very young. And that's why we spend 95% of our money on that, because quite frankly, the rest of the country, which is what we found out during the ACA, doesn't have insurance and basically pours peroxide on shit and hopes for the best. And they go to quick care if it's a big deal. But most people, until they drop dead, are perfectly healthy. That's unless you're lucky enough to get old enough to have chronic disease. So the reason we spend the most on chronic disease is because you don't spend a lot of money on temporary fucking disease. You stop spending on it. The reason chronic illness will always be the majority of what you spend. Yes, because whoever that person is, if it's chronic, they have to take that pill all the time. They have to have that treatment constantly. It is chronic. Therefore, it is going to be the spot illness, the spot injury, for fuck's sake, is of course going to be a smaller amount. There's no epidemic of people accidentally sawing their fucking leg off and getting gangrene. As a matter of fact, we don't even have fucking a problem with massive issues with gangrene anymore. We used to. People used to just get gangrene or tuberculosis, or like rolling illness, for about a year and a half, and then that was it. It never got a chance to become chronic. You just fucking died. So, of course, all of your major spending, especially when it's Medicare and Medicaid, you as the government and as insured, you're spending it largely on people who have long-running illnesses because the people who don't get better and go back to whatever. Yes, and blood pressure medication, once it starts, you don't necessarily stop, but it keeps you alive versus the alternative. Oh my God, this drives me crazy. This is one of those, like, fuck around with statistics. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the fucking thing. What they're doing, it must be something that Big Pharma is doing that's making everybody sick. All right. Chronic disease prevalence in the U.S., sociodemographic and geographic variations by zip code, tabulation area. How do you think this is going to work out? Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, that in the north and all over big cities like New York, where you got a store on every corner selling all kinds of sugary drinks like you could possibly want, you're never wanting for snacks and fancy desserts at their fancy restaurants and all that kind of stuff, or in Chicago or up in fucking Washington State or even California for that matter? Do you think that's where the chronic disease is? Do you think the chronic disease is rife with the Democrat voting areas of the world? Or do you think that if this was a lung, the southern part of the lung is where all the smoking is happening. And the rest of it, look where the rest of it is. Look up in the north. Fucking up here on the top of Michigan near the UP, the Upper Peninsula, which is basically like fucking Alabama. Rando areas of here, which again, population for population, highest prevalence. The dark red is the highest prevalence. What happened up here? Idaho and Washington State. Where is it? Is it over by Seattle? Is it over where all these fucking coffee latte drinkers with their sugary frappuccinos? Is that where all this chronic illness is happening? No. It's happening in the eastern part of the state where all the fucking rednecks are. And I'm from Kentucky, and I'm here to tell you, look at fucking Kentucky right here. Look at that. Look at West Virginia. Look at fucking West Virginia. That whole state is like a tumor. By the way, good luck bringing back coal so that you can revive all the illnesses that might be on the fade there. Highest prevalence throughout here. What about this? This is the choropleth map of the U.S. showing the geographic distribution of chronic disease prevalence. Does that look like a big fucking California hotspot with 99% confidence? That would be, look at this graph over here. Hotspot with 99%, cold spot with 95%. That means, see these areas? This is where, by population, there's almost fucking none. That means there's less than the average. That means the weighted average for this shit all happens in this area. So, do you think that might be why all of a sudden, apropos of fucking nothing, the Republicans suddenly start giving a shit about food additives and obesity and all these things? Anybody think that maybe it's not because they give a shit about humanity as a whole, it's because their fucking voters are gonna die? By the way, the gray areas and the white areas are not significant. No offense, Nevada, but, there's fucking nobody there. Just saying. Do you think this might be why all of a sudden they give a shit? When they never did before. What do they give a shit about food additives and fucking chronic disease and all that kind of stuff? They only started giving a shit when they looked at the arc of the living members of their own voter base and went, uh-oh, these motherfuckers are going to be dead in 12 years. Unless we as the government attack this issue. Right? Oh, in case you're just joining, welcome. RFK Jr. was saying that we spend 95% of our government money, or our insurance money, on chronic disease, and we got to do something about it. And when he was a young boy, there wasn't any chronic disease. Yeah, because people just fucking died. We didn't have treatments for these diseases, so you didn't think of chronic disease. You just thought of a disease that kills you, unfortunately, earlier. But things become chronic when it stops killing you. Before we found a cure, and after it stops killing you, and you're in this medical gray area, that's when shit becomes chronic. That's where we are right now, thanks to medical technology and the limits of physics. That's where we fucking are. And it's not just consumption, it's shit consumption, D.B. Golding. That's very clear. And again, he's like, we've got all these fucking, poisons and toxins that work in our environment. They didn't give a shit about that. Republicans didn't give a shit about that at all. Until, look at the chronic disease map. Did those look like Trump counties to you or what? Shit, if I'd have looked at this map last year, I could have told you Trump was probably going to win Michigan, for fuck's sake. He eats just like we eat. So, okay. So these are the kind of, just so you know, chat room, these are the kind of rabbit holes I get into. And and all of the stuff written about chronic disease, even the nature of this. This is from February, this original research, volume 21, February 29th, 2024. Okay. The people who wrote on this have probably been bounced by Doge as DEI hires because they sound very only fractionally white in one particular situation, maybe not at all. So, but the primary thing is that they look at the geographic distribution and sociodemographic and economic characteristics of chronic disease, which is what Democrats have been talking about for a long time. Like food deserts and food insecurity and bad quality of food and junk food and all these, like, fucking, remember how bad Republicans went after Bloomberg for wanting to have like a sugary drink tax because he was looking down the fucking road at where his voters would be in about a decade? Right? Democrats have been talking about this for a long time. Poor people eat poor diets. And one of the things we can improve with that is better school lunches, shit like that. Right? Now all of a sudden, with the RFK, we're going to get RFK in there and he's going to help us all out and shit. A former heroin user who's been raw dogging hippie chicks who don't believe in infectious disease for the last 5 years. 20, but 5 on the road. And now, like, they start giving a shit. And they're like, you're fighting to make America health again. Well, why? Why in the fuck would Trump hit this garbage-eating, nut-wagging, orange pile of shit suddenly care about food? Is it because they're worried about these people? No. It's because they are recognizing that their voter base is doomed unless they, through regulation and forced behavior, make them eat less shit, because that's what this is. This is, don't mistake what RFK Jr. is for anything else. It's government regulations to save lives. Cool. Knock yourself out, asshole. I like, it drives me crazy that these people are like, regulations, the government doesn't know what it's doing. The first time he gets in there, what are you doing? She meant she was barefoot. That's not what that means, Sage. That's not what that means at all. So, this is why they suddenly give a shit. These charts. They're just looking at their voter base is dying. And Billy G's saying they don't give a shit. I don't think they give a shit on an emotional or moral or just a genuine humanitarian reason. They do it out of self-interest. And I got news for you. If it saves lives because these assholes are selfish, I'm for it. I don't care. If you have to trick Trump's dickhead followers into not eating shit by telling them a Democratic talking point for 2 decades is all of a sudden a conservative talking point, it's very common sense and conservative of them, then fine. If it saves their life, maybe they'll eat less shit and they'll live longer and they'll live long enough to wake up from their stupor. Maybe that. Is there no data on New Jersey? This one right here. Yeah, it's either they don't track it or it's not it's not significant. But I would guess, but in this blue streak right here, it's the gap. I would guess it's about half and half. But yeah, there's no data on it to speak of. Just like there's no data for like the western part of, the eastern part of California, big swaths, because there's no fucking people there. But New Jersey doesn't do it because they don't track it because of probably medical privacy laws, I would guess. And then, of course, Alaska, they have some down here, down in the bottom, right along here. Not too much of it because you don't move to Alaska if you've got bad knees, right? And this part up here, they just don't give a shit. If you're living up there, nobody cares. This is where all the serial killers dump bodies out of low-flying airplanes. So there's no chronic illness at all. Bruh. So just saying, like, if you're ever wondering why all of a sudden Republicans are talking like Democrats in terms of food additives and health safety in that regard, minus the vaccine shit, this is why. 100% why. And where'd you get this, Hal? Where'd you get this? I got this from the actual CDC report that he's fucking citing in this interview when they're saying 95% of, let's see, I'm up on, let's see, are we up on Facebook? Hold on. I don't think we're on, the only thing we're not on is Rumble, which is being a dick. Where'd we go? Oh, what happened? Okay. But yeah, I'm up on Facebook someplace. There's 135 people watching on just the Facebook page alone. Yeah, Tony Soprano buried New Jersey data with the fishes.
Why are you going to put all this? Why do you want to take the menu from Charlie's restaurant and pass it around?
Anyways, so I'm just letting you know. You got to live long to get chronic illness. That's exactly right, Pontius Pirate. That's the point. Is that we also have, like, they're like, we have lost our data with other European countries. And by the way, like, they're all even. There'll be a wash of it, but you think they have as much difference and variance in life expectancy in European countries as we do in these states. And I got news for you. Who thinks that the death rate from chronic disease and lifestyle-based illnesses are centered more in one area of the country versus another? Does anybody get the feeling that chronic disease, deaths from chronic disease and high expenditure illnesses that last a long time might be coming from one particular part of the country where the cost goes very high and is not in the other areas where the cost would be precipitously low? I'm like a chronic disease weatherman. All of this moisture is going to push down from the south and push off and hit Altoona. Right? Just, yeah. Anybody got a guess? Anybody got a guess where the high cost of healthcare around chronic disease might be, and the low cost of chronic disease might be all these fucking Democrat-run cities that have a much lower cost, according to the CDC's own chart, cold spot, with 95% confidence. Nice going, Chicago. Well done, Madison, Wisconsin. Way to go, center of fucking, is that Kansas? I don't know what the fuck it is. And then in California, the whole coast. Bunch of fucking granola-eating jogger sons of bitches. New York, look at the East Coast. Vermont and all its granola, right? Oh, Colorado, yeah, there we go. That big chunk right in here. Yeah, right here. right? So Arizona, that's where everybody with the chronic disease, they all go to here, and then they get better and they move to here. So you see what I'm trying to say. Now, pop quiz. Pop quiz, ladies and gentlemen. Going by this map of chronic disease in the country, where would you think the lower test scores versus the higher test scores ratio is, and the states that weigh down the average for test scores in the country, so that the other areas, and I won't point to which, where the other areas do quite well in terms of testing and would be on par and ahead of most Northern European countries, right? But because we average it across the entire area, which area do you think brings down the grade point average of the entire fucking country? Do you think there's any overlap in this situation? Just saying. And you know, for all that fucking fluoride, man, it makes everybody dumb. I'm gonna go with the calorie content and the quality of calories might have something to do with it. I was always a smartass when I grew up in Kentucky. And by the way, if you want to look where I grew up in Kentucky, that spot right there. There's Lexington, Frankfort, and Louisville. That's that area. That's the place where it's where the fucking horse farms are, right over here. That's where the capital is, and that's where where the racing happens. This is where all the money is in Kentucky, right there. Look at Nashville, for fuck's sake. Look at Nashville, you bunch of fucking hippies. That's exactly what that is. Bunch of musicians moving into Nashville and wanting to stay young so they eat better and treat themselves right. And then around them is this donut of alcoholism. But the point is, I grew up in Kentucky in this part, and I was always a smart ass, but I didn't become just plain smart until I moved up to this blue area. I'm just saying, the availability of food and the quality of it had a lot to do with it. It's just penicillin in a petri dish. It totally looks like it. It absolutely looks like a fucking culture to see if, like, gee, what part of America has the clap, right? So, whenever you hear somebody talking about how, well, we've got a contagious, or we got a chronic disease problem in this country. Yeah. And the South and MAGA town needs to get its shit together. Right, bunch of kale-eating musicians. That's exactly right. Education. Why is American schools they're so far, like, why aren't we spending so much on students? Well, guess what? Another thing. Fuck me. Okay, we've looked at this before, but I want to show everybody, just to tie this to, using the same map of chronic disease. Where do you think, we've already established that the higher test scores also look like this, versus low test scores being red, high test scores being blue. This is how the map of quality students looks as well, almost exactly. And on top of that, does anybody want to guess where how much they spend per student goes? So, which area? Do you think this is the area? The red is we spend a lot on students, and the blue is where we spend very little? Or do you think the areas where we spend more on students, have healthier outcomes, and better test scores are all the same areas, and all the places where we have shitty chronic disease, low test scores, unemployment, high crime, all that stuff happens where the food is the shittiest and is the generalized, where a culture of deep fried Snickers bars is considered old-fashioned country. Hal doesn't believe in vegetables. I've never seen one. You're right. I think of vegetables like Bigfoot. Diabetes. That's right. I'm Wilford Brimley, and this whole stain here is diabetes. Right. I'm telling you. Is it interesting to anyone that it all lines up? Yes. Obesity charts in the United States, chronic disease, lack of funding for education, high crime rates per capita, and that's always crucial. Understand, you can't just say by volume, because obviously a big city will always have more crime than a small area, but 1-to-1, person to person, per capita, these areas will have more crime, especially fucking, Mississippi, Louisiana, like top of Louisiana over here, Alabama, Mississippi. That's the worst of it, quite frankly. And of course,
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
All right, so you think Hal is carnivore? You are correct. Although I'm imperfect carnivore, I'm not. I don't believe in eating religiously. I mean, I don't have anything against kosher, for example. But I believe you have to be flexible, because if your diet stresses you out more than it benefits you, maintaining it will make you sicker than no matter how good it would have been great. KJ Doglove, no, it isn't. I love you, but no, it isn't. Anyways, this is, depends on the person, I say. There we go. All right. Chat room, just saying. The overlap shouldn't surprise anyone, okay? Yeah. The overlap between all those characteristics, understand, is crucial to understanding this whole, ketovore is probably closest. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Because I just had a fist, right before I came on the show, I just had a fistful of macadamia nuts just so my stomach doesn't growl during the show, because I only eat once a day, and I don't care if my stomach growls, so it can be annoying on the show sometimes, because I can't hear it because my earbuds are in, but I imagine it to be fairly loud at times. So, all right. Now, ABC interview. I've only seen snippets of this, and it's hysterifying. That's my combination of hysterical and terrifying. Trump is hysterifying right now. He's ridiculously hilarious and also dangerously awful. Hashtag hysterifying. Somebody figure out how to spell that. All right. So here we are. I don't know where this is, by the way. I hope someone tells us where this interview takes place, because I'm not familiar.
Hello, everybody. How are you? This is the Oval Office.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I didn't realize that ABC was now doing interviews, like little take your reporter to work day for toddlers. Hello, everybody. This is my tattoo, and I sit here and I'm doing my poopies, and I sign up on the thing. Everybody, welcome. Here we are today. This is the Oval Office.
Oh, hello there. This is the Resolute desk, which is really something very spectacular. There's nothing quite like it, and it.
There's a lot of things like it. It's just, I guess, Quite is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. It's not. I guess he had to take it out and have the booger cleaned off of it.
They give you a choice of about 7 different desks, but this is the one I chose. Ronald Reagan had it.
It was. I think that was an edit. By the way, ABC, I know you cut this down for time. I'm just going to assume that whenever you do a cut on a sentence like that, when it's totally unnecessary, that you had to cut out him going, as I understand, it was carved by slaves, which is good, huh? Good, huh? Like, I'm just going to assume he said something god-awful, and you had to fucking, you had to cut it out. Like the editor was like, ha-ha, da-da.
DR had it. A few people had it, but I found it to be the most beautiful.
It is amazing.
Would you go down to the fucking? We got a big warehouse, and you go down, you pick it out, you have your day where you pick it out. No, you don't. You just heard about it. I love the desk too, but he just heard about it. He hasn't even seen the other ones. He didn't know what the fuck he's talking
This is
about.
an amazing space, and amazing, maybe architecturally wonderful, but
Yeah, because it's got no right angles. If people want to live inside a donut, let them live inside a donut. What are you, a fucking art critic now?
amazing for what it represents. It represents the U.S., and if properly used, a lot of good things.
It represents the U.S. Yeah. You have to enter the room. You have to knock 3 times and say USA, and then the door automatically opens. It represents the U.S. Jesus, and if used properly, he does realize the office isn't the room, right? Maybe he doesn't. Holy shit! Maybe he doesn't know that the Oval Office and the office of the presidency that you don't. There's like no magic. Oh my God! I think this is true. For real. I think this is true. I think he thinks the office of the presidency and the Oval Office are one and the same, and that the building, this room, has magic powers, and you sign stuff in it because it has to be done in the office of the president. It's like Asylum. It's exactly that. Oh my fucking God. For real. That's listen to him. This, if it's used properly.
Represents the U.S., and if properly used, a lot of good things can happen.
If properly used. Yes, nothing says properly using the Oval Office like installing a Diet Coke button, you absolute asshole. Hold on, I feel like I should have that on call at some point. Where is it? There it is. Diet Coke! There we go. Jesus.
I see Ronald Reagan over there.
That's not Ronald Reagan. That's Danny Thomas. Stop it. That is not Ronald Reagan. Somebody playing a prank on him, and they put a picture of Danny Thomas. It's been hanging on the wall at St. Jude's, and they brought it in to see if he would notice.
Ronald Reagan,
Right to your left.
being in the Oval Office is
That's Danny Thomas. Stop it.
very important. See Ronald Reagan here, and put him a little bit larger. It sort of seemed to fit very nicely.
Would you have what did you have, 2 8x10s and some wallet sizes with that, and you just decided to hang the big one on there? Oh my God. Georgina, wrong hand.
You have Democrats a little bit. You have
Franklin Roosevelt.
Franklin Roosevelt. So you look at that.
Yeah, don't tell him. Okay, Terry Moran, anybody who's interviewing him, don't tee up the answers. It's very natural because you're being friendly to fill in the gaps for some dipshit who's going, that guy, one of our favorites. You know him, of course. This dude, he's famous, one of the greatest baseball pitchers of all time. He was a hitter as well. It's Cincinnati. Pete Rose. Pete Rose. Yes, right. Pete Rose. That's right. You got it right. Don't give him anything. Stop it.
Picture, and people say, well, what's he doing up there? But look, he was a serious president, whether we like it or not. He was a
Whether we like it or not.
four-termer.
All right, that's why he put it up there, because he was 4 terms before we outlawed it.
And, went through a war. You have Lincoln, you have Washington, but you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Why is he?
What was their big hit, the Monroe Doctrine? Wasn't it Party Girl or Keep on Floating Down That River? What was that one? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Monroe Doctrine. Come down here. Thank you, folks. We'd like to welcome you, if we could, down here to the Monroe Doctrine. I'm gonna tell you something. We got that Monroe Doctrine, and we're rolling down. Sorry. Just fucking. It's a Monroe and a Monroe doctor.
You have Lincoln, you have Washington, but you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Monroe and the doctrinaires. Right. I want to be a doctrinaire. Doctrinaire, doctrinaire. Oh my fucking God. Again. Yeah.
Why is he up there?
I think the Monroe Doctrine was pretty important. You know, that was his claim to fame.
That's why his name's on it. The Marilyn Monroe Doctrine.
Over here you have the original of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, and of
Yeah, never, don't be afraid to distract.
course you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love.
Jesus Christ. What does it mean to you? It means what it means. What it means. What it means to say when it's saying what it means. It's a declaration of independence, unity,
And respect, and it means a lot, and it's something very special to
Jesus Christ. Whatever you do, don't ask him his favorite Bible verse.
our country.
Look at Moran. He's like, look, I'm named Moran, but I think Bugs Bunny would use my last name to describe you right now.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar with that one, but I think when I'm looking at
That was his middle school class president picture. When he first ran for class president, he was in this picture. He's I think he's 10 years old.
that famous line in the second inaugural, with malice toward none, with
Right,
charity toward
right.
all.
Yeah, Trump doesn't know that. Give him the first part and see if he can fill it in. Shit.
Is that-
Well, he was a great president. He went through a lot.
And the Oval Office is always changing between presidents, and
It changes.
that says
yeah,
something.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. Most don't require fresh Depends in the file cabinet right over there. But, necessity is the mother of invention.
What does this say about how you feel about the country and the office?
Well, I think it says I love the country. I mean, I'm putting pictures of presidents up that have never been up.
Okay. You mean the ones that were like racists that we try to put in the background because they weren't exactly a shining moment in our history? Also, isn't that the fucking World Cup or the not the World Cup, the fucking sailing trophy that he won it or some shit? They're just holding on to it until the race. So he just put it on a fucking end table by the window so some dickhead can take so he can actually accidentally chip a fucking golf ball into it. And then this stupid Gulf of America horseshit.
Pictures that weren't largely used, and in many cases, great men, in this case men, but
Yeah, as opposed to all the women presidents we could have had, you fuckers.
great men of great achievement.
And your every detail, it seems.
Yeah.
This is your office.
Yes, it's gaudy and awful and crowded and full of bric-a-brac and more of a prop house than an actual office.
A very detailed person. I'm a very clean person. I like cleanliness. I like to see this space be treated properly. I've added.
Yeah, it seems incredibly devoid of work. I noticed there's no like clutter around, like pens and paper, where one might, or it seems entirely uncluttered by books. I will give you that as well. I think most of the books in the place have been moved to a safe location, probably, so that they don't get burned with the
a lot
others.
to the space in terms of
Jesus Christ, which one of these is the Grail? He chose poorly.
beautification.
Beautification? The fuck are these? Truman's golf trophies? Is this the Rosenberg's urns? What the hell? Beautification? Go find me some gold shit, some real gold shit from downstairs that they weren't allowed to put out, and put that out.
In terms of modernization, that's
A gallery of presidents.
it really is. It really is. So, and it's an honor to have you people with us.
Mr. President,
What do you mean, you people?
thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Here in the Oval Office, it's special. 100.
Well, we're here in the Oval Office. This is the Resolute desk. Did anybody tell you about the Resolute desk? They give you a choice of 7, but I thought this one was the most spectacularly ironic, considering I'm not resolute about anything. I flip-flop like a motherfucker. So, you know, I thought it'd be funny. The kids thought it would be funny.
Days into your second term. So, what's the one thing, just one thing, that you think is the most significant thing you've done so far in these
Everything is significant. Everything I do is special and amazing.
100 days?
Well, I think maybe the border is the most significant because our country was really going bad. They were allowing people to come in from prisons, as you know, and you've heard me say it, but you've heard a lot of people say it. Prison.
No, haven't heard a lot of people say it. Only people I've heard say it are people who are quoting you directly while chuckling and going, what the fuck?
Mental institutions, gang members,
Well, they didn't want you to feel alone, I guess.
murderers. We had many murders, 11,888, they think.
That's a pretty exact number of murderers. Nailed it. Does it have anything to do with the fact that they were already in jail?
Some murdered more than one person.
Well, I'm glad to see that it wasn't just a 1-for-1, you know.
So you had murderers coming in, you had everybody coming in, and not just South America, from all over the world. They were emptying their prisons into our country. And now it's totally closed down. And you've seen just, yes.
So they're trapped in here with us. Great. Great, asshole. So no mass deportations. There's like 20 million of these motherfuckers, yet you've got rid of like 6 dozen of them, and the rest of them are just, what, milling around? Thanks a lot, asshole. They can't even escape through the border because it's completely shut down. What if they want to go out the way they came in? Shit, I gotta close the drapes and lock the doors.
Yesterday, they announced 99.9%. Nobody thought that could happen.
Well, I mean, because you had to militarize it. They didn't think that would happen because nobody would declare an emergency at the border for no fucking reason and then put troops all along it like it's the fucking, like, Israeli border with fucking Jordan in 1971.
And it happened quickly, very quickly. And I think that's very significant. But we're doing other things that are very significant. The results will take a little bit longer because it's one of those, you know, it's complicated. It's many years of trading abuse. We've been abused by other countries for years and years. They laughed at us. They thought we were stupid people.
They thought we were stupid people who they needed to buy their shit as we dragged them out of poverty.
And we're fixing it. And
yes, no one's laughing at us now.
I think that's going to be very...
Wait, hold on. Put a filter on his voice? Hold on. We might have to... maybe we can speed it up. We'll listen to it normal.
Very, very important. But
We have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I would really say that the border is so important.
Great, so that's done, and anybody else can do it, so fuck off, I guess?
You know, you just
And
can't
we'll get there.
let
Immigrant.
Oh, yeah, sorry, by the way, ouch. Yeah, it's going to be pretty prevalent in this next one. I apologize. If you accidentally caught sight of it, please sign up on Patreon. We'll get you some steel wool.
Huge, and we're going to get there. But I want to
For
start
your eyes.
with the economy, the number one issue for so many people, for just about everybody. It's one of the main reasons.
Well, it's actually the number 2 issue, just because of how it's going.
That you're back in this office, and now we have this trade war with China that Moody's and other analysts say is going to cost American families thousands of more dollars per year, and there is a lot of concern out there. People are worried, even some people who voted for.
Wait a minute, how tall is Terry Moran? He's got, look at his head. Jesus Christ, Trump looks like Beetlejuice at the end of the fucking movie. Please tell me at least Moran is fucking 6'13". What the hell?
Where you're saying, I didn't sign up for this. So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on. I said that we've been abused by other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day.
Dude, you just wiped out like $5 trillion in a month. We should be so lucky. Also, not losing, spending.
On trade, we were losing $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion
I'll look at the chairs. Okay.
a year, not sustainable. They were taking advantage of us like they've never. I could have left it that way, and at some point there would have been an implosion like nobody's ever seen.
Really? Like nobody's ever seen? You should use that phrase more. Also, an implosion like nobody's ever seen? Dude, that's what we're seeing now.
But I said, no, we have to fix it. I've wanted to do this for many years. You know, I had the best economy during my
Just a lie. Again, no, I'm not going to let that pass. No, a lie. Didn't have the best economy. Silly.
first term. We had a tremendous economy, tremendous success. And we did tremendous numbers of tariffs on, we took in a lot of money from tariffs.
Not enough to make up for what the farmers were losing, so you had to use what you were taking in to pad them temporarily.
China in particular, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. We
Nope.
had no inflation, as you know. We had an incredible economy. We're given credit for a great economy.
Nope. You keep making that detail up. No. Your own people saying, yeah, boss, greatest economy ever. That's not credit. That's a bunch of suck-ups just saying like, yeah, David Koresh, you totally are the Messiah.
But I said,
I got great marks for being a Messiah.
we have to fix this. Otherwise, it's just not self-sustaining.
But one of the
Not sustainable.
things you ran on was you'd said you'd bring prices down on day one,
Yeah,
and that
and
it
I
would
have.
happen fast, and that it would happen fast.
I
And
have.
most economists will tell you that tariffs will raise prices. So don't your tariffs cut against that promise you made to bring prices down?
No, because I had massive tariffs on China, if you remember, in my first term, and we had essentially no inflation. Like
Oh my God. Because the fucking economy collapsed your last year because of COVID.
around 1% inflation,
Yes, that's bad. That's not good.
which is like a perfect number.
No, 2% is the perfect number they always shoot for. 1% is deflationary, stupid.
And then when Biden took over, it went through the roof. It went to the
Yeah, because the country started up again. It wouldn't have if you'd have kept going because we would have been a failed state. You would have just done this then.
probably the worst inflation we've ever had. I mean, we had an inflation nightmare. Now, if you look at what's happening now, we're only there for 100 days, as you say. And in 100
No, as the calendar says.
days, we took over. We had bad inflation for 4 years, for 2 years of.
Yeah, but asshole, you didn't tell people, look, we've had bad inflation for 2 years. It's going to take time for that to come down. You said quickly. Solve the Ukraine-Russia war in one fucking phone call. Costs will go down immediately. It's so fast, you'll make your head spin.
Especially 2 years of his administration. I would say record-setting like we've never seen. They say 48 years, the worst in 48 years.
He's starting to get a little jagged in this. There's a little bit of this, like, defensive. He's not used to talking to somebody like Moran who's just looking at him without going, yeah, absolutely.
I say it was
through
much
that, I
worse
lived
than
through
that.
that, yeah.
Right. So now if you look at what's happened, energy is down. Gasoline hit $1.98 in a few states during the last couple of days. It was $3.50 and $4 and $4.50.
Oh yeah, he was kidding. That's right, Jessica. It was a joke. He said it in jest.
Cents, but gasoline is way down. When I took over, you remember the big thing with eggs. They hit me the first week. Eggs, like it was my fault. I said, I didn't cause this problem. This problem was caused by Biden. What's the problem with eggs? And they said, they've doubled. And well, eggs are down 87% since I got involved.
If that was true, eggs would cost 50 cents a dozen. I think that's the stat I saw.
A lot of that is
And by
bird
the way,
flu,
and there were
right?
plenty of eggs for Easter, which
No, there weren't.
we just went through. There were plenty of eggs for Easter.
Yes, and who just said that? OPEC Plus just reopened their taps. That's what drove the gas price down, which, by the way, was going to happen. He signed in March 2020 for 2 years, gave us the inflation. Yes, that is true. He signed that deal with Russia and OPEC.
They were saying you won't have enough eggs for Easter. We ended.
No, that's not what people said. that they would be too expensive for Easter because there's a difference between buying eggs you would eat and buying eggs to color and put in the yard and use to decorate. The extra eggs, you wouldn't be able to afford those, right? And the eggs that he's talking about that have gone down in price have been our commercial eggs bought from Turkey and shipped in from outside the country, even South America.
Secretary did a fantastic job on eggs. Groceries are down. Everything's down.
Okay.
Interest rates are the same. Interest rates should be down, but we have a Federal Reserve that wants to be stubborn. They want to be cute.
We'll get to that. You said something a couple of weeks ago that
No, Terry. No. Groceries are not down. They aren't. They are not. They're not even stabilizing.
struck me. You said concerning the tariffs, which economists say are going to raise prices, you said, quote, hang tough. It won't be easy. You said that to the American people. Is that what Americans should expect, some hard times?
I've said
because
that
of
during
these
my
tariffs?
campaign. Look, we won a campaign by a lot. We won all 7.
No, you didn't say that during the campaign, asshole. No. You did not say it during the campaign. During the fucking campaign, it was like, it'd be so easy. They have these idiots running everything. We could fix it so fast and make your head spin. It's all going to happen so quickly like nobody's ever seen before. Then as soon as you get in and you shit the bed, then all of a sudden, then it's hang tough.
In swing states, we won the popular vote by a lot. You know, we had a tremendous campaign. I said all of these things during my campaign.
No, he did not.
I said, you're going to have a transition period. We've been ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we were. And I said, that's not going to
During your presidency as well, I guess.
happen. We're
But
not going to
hard
let that
times?
happen.
Hard times are ahead?
I don't think so. I
Hang
think
tough.
great times are ahead. Look, since I came in, gasoline is down, groceries are down, egg prices are down.
Nope.
Many things are down, just about
Yes, many things are down. The stock market, the bond market,
everything. You know, you don't have the drop
employment.
in fuel and energy and oil like we did. I took it from maybe $3.20, maybe more than that, down into a much lower number. When you have that kind of a drop, you're not going to have inflation.
Not now.
Okay. The first drop that he's talking about happened during COVID when no one was driving. It was a standard supply and demand issue. There was too much supply and no demand, world fucking wide. Barrels of oil were going for negative $36 a barrel, for fuck's sake. They were paying people to take the barrels off the boats and put them somewhere just so they could keep the pumps going.
But it's the tariffs, right? We still have 145% tariffs on China.
is it
Your
that-
Treasury Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're
And
trying
that-
to say something's going to happen,
no,
Terry.
No, okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business. I
Terry,
wanna-
Nothing's gonna happen, Terry. Just understand. This is not about, I don't know, some sort of idea that you have that I was just, bullshitting you during the campaign.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Which you might have a point.
I want to ask
I
you.
do know business.
Yes,
and
so 145% tariffs on China, and that is
That's good.
basically
That's
an
good.
embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on
They
everything
deserve
from
it.
electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going
That's
to eat it.
mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but
No, China's not going to eat 145% tariffs. They're not going to do it. The boat's turned around, dummy. We're not going to eat it.
at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States.
Right, and people can't do business who use China to do business. That's the issue. It isn't about them, dum-dum. It's just almost the exact fucking, good Lord. It's exactly the same issue we have with with Kilmar Obrego Garcia. Like, it ain't about him, motherfucker. It's about the rule of law. It's about how it affects American citizens, ultimately. We care about having a government and a constitution that works, that has value, that maintains that value. Same thing is true here. This isn't about whether they can do business from fucking like China, or if they can move their business and their production to the United States or to somewhere else in the interim. Like Apple's moving one of their plants to Vietnam and has been for quite some time.
And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were
Yeah, because they're our wholesaler, dummy.
ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad.
Well, if they were just as bad, then why don't you have 145% on everybody? Name one.
If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done.
Good Lord.
To us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off.
Bullshit. We're the biggest economy in the world. We can afford to buy more things than they can afford to buy from us. That's true of everybody. That's what happens when you are the biggest economy in the world. Whoever is the biggest economy in the world, they will have a trade deficit with everybody else. That's just a fact. Whoever's in front, they're going to have a trade deficit with everybody else.
They're not doing that anymore.
I want you to think about the boom that this country has had in small businesses, mom and pop Etsy stores, small businesses that became
They
big
haven't
businesses.
had a boom because of inflation.
Well,
the boom
what they've done
was inflationary boom. The people were wiped out with inflation. I
Yes.
mean, you read the news, you
Yes.
do the business
now
stuff,
they
I
face,
assume.
Now, a lot of them built those businesses on the trading model.
Yeah, and they're gonna
before
make more money
They
now.
sourced their products overseas, and now they're looking at an extinction
I've
event.
been here.
It's a disaster for them.
I've been here for 3 months. I've taken a trade deficit down to a number that's very, very starting to get really good. I just got here.
Jesus Christ. Look, just because everybody stops buying from overseas because they can't afford it doesn't mean you have fixed the trade deficit. This idea that they're going to start building shit over here, 5-10 years from now,
We had a country that
at best.
it was not sustainable, what Biden did to this country.
Okay, yeah, but that's like saying you got a bad diet and long term you're going to have a heart attack, so we've just decided to cut your heart out right now. It's an emergency.
Between the open borders where criminals poured into our country, between every
He's getting really fucking defensive.
country in the world ripping us off on trade, it was not sustainable.
So your message to those small businesses who are saying, we can't live a month, 2 months with these tariffs. Apple got a big deal. Is there something for them?
No, not only Apple. We've got $7 to $8 trillion being invested in our country in 2 months. Biden didn't have that over a year. I mean,
Yeah, he did, and this does all come from the CHIPS Act. Never mind. Does he give a shit? Fuck those businesses. I've got these other businesses that are really big businesses. These are big, fancy, new shit. I don't care about your fucking mom and pop Etsy lifestyle, your drop shipping empire that you built. Fuck you.
if you look at Biden, nobody was really investing in this country. Everybody was ripping off our country. Apple's put
Oh, he's getting dry mouth. Oh, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is so gross. Oh, fuck, this is gross. This is you could tell he's not used to anybody bothering to ask him another question, and when he starts, you'll see.
He was
It's
really
gross.
investing in this country. Everybody was ripping off our country. Apple's putting
Be careful how you cut yourself.
up $500 billion, but that's only one of many companies. Companies are flooding into our country right now.
So your answer to the concern about the tariffs is everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah, you stupid assholes. I don't even know what you're worried about. Obviously, we have a plan, and it's awesome, and it's working. And anyways, it's not my fault. And if it is my fault, it's because you guys won't let me do worse shit.
It wouldn't have been if I didn't do this. I had a choice. I could leave it, have a nice, easy time, but I think ultimately you would have had an implosion.
As opposed to just forcing one right out of the goddamn gate with no
Our
solution.
country had inflation that was worse than they've ever had it before. You don't mention that. Why don't you mention that?
Because it was post-COVID? Because it was directly related to a worldwide pandemic caused by supply shock? And I am sick to fucking death, folks, of these assholes talking about monetary inflation. Like we printed all this fucking money, money printer go burr, and there's too much money in circulation. Fuck you. The dollar is not worth more than $1 if there's too many of them in circulation. Doesn't work that way. They tried to patch a $20 trillion hole with $9 trillion. That's not money printer go burr. That's underprinting, if anything.
We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country.
Definitely, no, not even close.
People say 48 years, probably in the history of our country. We had
No, 48 years. Yeah, since Reagan, actually.
the worst inflation. And people were dying over the inflation. You know that.
No, they were not dying over the inflation. No. I would like to see the health fact. Can you bring in RFK Jr. and tell us how inflation causes autism?
Now the grocery prices are coming down, the energy prices are coming down, gasoline's coming down. It's all heading in the right direction.
Okay, let's move on to immigration.
Oh, they had to do an edit. He needed a drink of water.
Coming up.
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions.
All right, I'll see the actual.
Let's move on to immigration. And as you said, it is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline. But there are questions about your methods. And so I want to ask
About my message?
Methods. About
Oh dear.
your methods, how you're
They
accomplishing
seem to
this.
work.
Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
Yeah, all the American citizens you're trying to deport. Yeah. Before the deportation hearings for citizens. Yeah.
No, you're not deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings
At this point,
when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number's 20 million people to flow into our country? You had 21 million people that
no, you didn't.
came into our country through a
And you shut the gate. Now they're stuck in here with us, and we're all doomed.
stupid open border, and they were,
What the fuck was that?
because I think the number's 20 million people to flow into our country. You had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border, and they were prisoners, and they were people that you don't want in many cases in our country, right?
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah, people who eat with their mouth open, guys who sniff a lot, orange-skinned motherfuckers, terrible. Guys with like piss-colored cotton candy hair. Friends of Roy Cohn. Yeah, just the worst of the worst.
They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo. They came from South.
Fucking there it was. Congo. Whew. Do we have to? I think we have to. Guys. Don't we? Hold on. Let's see. I should have this one on the ready anyways. Jump. Congo. Tower. Let's see. Let's go. Let me do this better one. Hold on. Why does he keep guys? Why does he bring up Congo all the time? $7 million Trump building condo tied to scandal-scarred foreign leader. Where would that guy be from? I don't even fucking know. Unit 32G, a two-bedroom, 1,767 square foot apartment with sweeping views of the park, is owned by an entity called ECRE, which bought the condo in 2014 for $7 million in cash. Documents unearthed by the nonprofit Global Witness show that the purchase was funded by the daughter of the Republic of Congo's president, a longtime target of anti-corruption investigators. The funds for the all-cash purchase appear to have been siphoned from that country's government. Oops. No wonder he keeps bringing up Congo. They kicked out one of his people, and he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about that.
They came from all over the world.
Yeah. Papua New York and Severistan and Kazakh City.
Talking about some of the roughest countries in the world.
Obviously, he means all the Viking countries. Scotland, where you'll get the Glasgow handshake.
They had here, including terrorists, by the way. Now,
Which you apparently none of them have been kicked out. So, I mean, now he's calling drug dealers terrorists. So he could twist that word however the fuck he wants. But I'd like to say for the record that There's not been a sign that like, oh, we caught these terrorists from, Terrorististan or fucking Abdul Graba Manifesto, and we're trying to get him out of the country, right? None of that. Didn't find any of those. Like, you think they wouldn't parade them if they did find them? So there's like 22 million terrorists, murderers, and psychopaths running around, and they're like, get that baby out of here.
We give them a hearing when they came in?
Well, the law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
Do you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I
No, you don't. No, you don't. The Supreme Court told you that.
can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals,
how do we know they're criminals? If you're getting them out because they're criminals, if we don't have a hearing, how do we know they're criminals? Just by looking at them?
we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial.
You don't have to have a trial. A trial's not the same thing. They don't all get a trial. They don't all get a trial. The only ones that get hearings are the ones who are claiming asylum. Deportation hearings are a single issue. Like, they make an order right then and there. They can do it. A lot of times they'll give them 90 days to get their shit in order, but a lot of times they don't have to. And if there's 21 million of them, you should be able to find at least a couple 100,000 that can just be kicked out with a hearing.
It takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law
Give
is the
21
law,
million?
sir. The law is the law, and you're
the law
sworn
doesn't
to
say anything
uphold it.
about trials.
No, not trials, hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came.
He doesn't know the difference. Terry, he doesn't know the difference between a trial and a hearing. Just like he doesn't understand the office of the president versus the Oval Office is the president's office. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand he could sign a bill somewhere else.
They're not citizens. They came in illegally. They came into our country illegally.
And
We
there's-
have to get them out.
There's a legal process for that.
I can't, sure, and we follow the legal process. I can't
No, you don't.
I can't
I can't.
have a trial, a major trial
not
for
saying
every
major.
person that came in illegally. We have thousands
A hearing is not a trial, asshole. He just told you that.
of murderers that came in.
Well, then, if they're murderers, then you know they're murderers, so you've clearly had a trial already. Otherwise, they'd be alleged murderers, n'est-ce pas?
They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our
Okay, well, so clearly they've had a trial then. So one hearing should handle it.
country.
Right, so
we have to get them out,
They're
and we have to
bad
get them
guys,
out fast.
really bad guys. But in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay.
They're due a processing, if that's what you mean. I think there's some forms involved or something that little people do.
Now, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say.
Right. All right, let's talk about the Venezuelans. You deported more than...
By the way, this is what happens when you let Bush's lawyers get away with Abu Ghraib and, rendition and enhanced interrogation. This is the natural arc of that. I'm just saying. This is what happens. This is why you throw people like that in jail, so that people like this know not to try it.
200 Venezuelans to that prison in El Salvador. You say they're violent, they're gang members, they're terrorists. Many of them
They're hairdressers. Some of them are gay, which is worse than being a murderer, obviously.
don't have a criminal
They are,
record
by the way.
at all.
Well,
but I want to...
I'm not so sure about that. If you take a look,
I want to
When
read you something.
Excuse
if I-
me. When you look at those people,
Yeah, have you seen when you look at those people, you just see that they're complete scum. You can just tell by looking at them. God damn. He's got dry mouth something fierce. This is what happens when you're not used to being asked a follow-up question and you get two.
they were violent people. They were violent people.
But many of them don't have a criminal record
Go
at this
ahead.
point.
I don't-
So
I don't-
I want
that's
to
what
read
you
you
say.
something. Well, it's based
Go
on
ahead.
their lawyer, what their lawyers
Go
have
ahead.
said. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. It's not up to him to say whether they've assert whether they have been found guilty of a crime. That's your fucking job. You have to be 100% on these things. That's kind of the point. That's why we have rule of law in this country. It's kind of what makes the fucking place special. Just saying.
Joe Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, one of the leading podcasters, Trump supporter, about the deportation of Venezuelans. He said, quote, rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, he said it was dangerous, and added, quote, we got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. Is Joe Rogan right?
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Well, then bring fucking Garcia back and give him due process, you absolute turd.
We want to be careful, and we are careful.
We're totally careful. Okay, this is going to get fucking gross. Has he been making out with Greg Kelly?
Doing something that has to be done. We have a country that's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening, but the people around him are vicious people. And what
Sorry, we're going to deport them now? And without a hearing?
they've done to the country is unbelievable. They've allowed 21 million people to
Again, no.
pour into our country. Many of these people are criminals. They've
Then you should be able to prove it in a fucking court of law.
allowed you mentioned Venezuela, the jails of Venezuela to be emptied into the United States. Do you know Venezuela crime is way down? Way, way down. You know
No, it is not.
why? Because
They rounded up their gang members and put them in a jail just like El Salvador
the
did.
criminals are now living happily in the United States of America, and we're getting them out. And I was elected to get them out, and we're getting
Under
them out.
the law. It
And
sounds
we're
like-
getting them out fast, and we're getting them out legally. Now, in some cases, we have judges. In some cases, they're radical left judges. What happened the other day where a judge
Man, look at this. Fucking flailing. Wait, Moran is 6'3"? Moran is 6'3". Trump is shrinking then. It isn't just Ozempic. I think there's somebody obviously, either it's witchcraft or he was shot with a shrink gun.
was protecting a criminal was horrible.
I'll make you itsy bitsy.
And I think she's got big problems,
Probably.
frankly.
I wanna
And
talk
there are a
about-
couple of them like that.
I wanna talk about one
Wait a
man.
minute.
Yep.
We have to be treated fairly by judges. And we're not being treated fairly by all judges.
Aw.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order that he not be sent back to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in court that was a mistake. And now the Supreme Court has upheld an order that you must return him facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well,
Okay. I think that's probably the clearest and most concise version of reality that is that situation that has ever been spoken to Trump's fucking face. So let's see what his full response is.
You must return him facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us, should not have said that, And just so
Said it
you
in court.
understand,
Said
the
it in
person
court.
that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of
Tough cookie.
skirmishes, beat
He's been in a lot of skirmishes, has he? Has he been known to be a hooligan where he gave a couple of people on the block the what for?
the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is
She's literally on TV asking for his return.
not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from
I'm
Maryland.
not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands,
He came
sir.
into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and
I
with
could.
all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that.
I'm not
release.
the one making this decision.
Jesus Christ. We've fallen so far from George W. Bush going, I'm the decider, to Trump going, this isn't my problem. I never even saw these assholes before. Apparently, he has zero use for our third favorite sign here at House Parks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. God help.
We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be.
Yeah, it wasn't about this guy. And by the way, you're the one who put a moratorium on the deportation. He put a delayed enforcement order on Venezuelans as his last official act in office. Do maggots know that? I mean, we've shown it a bunch of times. Trump last order Venezuelans. Whoops, sorry, I can type. There we go. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, January 20th, 2021. POTUS issues 18-month deferred enforcement departure for certain Venezuelans, which was basically anybody who was in the country up to that point and that could say that they were. Yep, there we go. And when Biden came in July, he revoked and replaced it with a temporary protected status order because they had to actually have a hearing, and then they got processed. But Trump's thing was trying to get them to be basically in stasis without a hearing because he didn't want them kicked out. He wanted to blame them for whatever crime happened.
Incompetent that you always said was wonderful, a great genius, right? And now you find out all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was gross.
What does that have to do with your inability to make decisions in the Oval Office? Like what? How did you become such a weak president?
Incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
It was the number one issue. That and mocking trans people.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never.
Right, because you would actually need to pass a bill. You just declared an emergency forever, I guess.
It happened. Well, it happened. And it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
Right, but you kind of have to prove they're murderers and criminals, don't you? Isn't that part of it?
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute over that.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that.
He,
Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know,
This is fucking amazing. This is like, so Trump thinks that picture was real. He didn't realize that his people did that to translate it for him just so he could easily say it. He actually thinks the MS-13 was actually tattooed there. Like, this is just ridiculous.
In the interview, I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
Right, we'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it was Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
He actually thinks the M and the S and the 1 and the 3 were really on his knuckles. He really thinks this.
No. He had MS as...
Motherfucker. Like, this is fucking terrible. Like, again, next reporter that talks to him, like, you do realize your people handed you a picture where they put the letters MS-13 on the guy's knuckles. You do realize that, right? That's not a question. We can see his actual hands. We've seen pictures of the man. We've seen video of him.
Clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on
Oh my fucking God.
his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
All right, we'll take a look at that.
You do
We'll take a
such a
look at that.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on?
Because it's a lie. That's why, stupid. It isn't. He's being too nice. Terry Moran's only mistake in this situation is going, no, your people gave you a picture and put MS-13 over those things to help you interpret the tattoos that are actually on his finger to make it look like they say MS-13. But the actual MS and the 1 and the 3 were put there after the fact. Ask your people. They will tell you. Ask to see the original photo. You're the president.
To something else.
It's contested. Ukraine.
Coming up.
Oh my God. Ukraine's going to catch shit because... Oh, God.
And to that moving photograph of you and President Zelensky sitting in St. Peter's Basilica talking peace. It went around the world.
Sure.
Take us into that moment.
Well, look, the Ukraine is a very serious, very tough situation. And this is Biden's war. This is not my war, but
Jesus Christ. Just buck passing everywhere.
I want to see if I can solve it because
Because you said you could in an hour?
probably close to 5,000 young soldiers a week are being killed, Russian and Ukrainian. We also spend a tremendous amount of money in Ukraine, and Europe should be spending much more than us. They're not. They're spending much less. It's been badly handled by the Biden administration. It's
Fuck, everything is somebody else's fault.
been badly handled all the way around, the way around.
That moment.
The moment was a
Yeah, they
moment
just-
of solace, in a sense, because tremendous numbers of people are dying. A lot of his people are dying. They're being killed. And
By who? By who? Is he sending his people into Russia and getting them killed?
I feel very badly about it. I feel very badly about it. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. It was never even a thought of it happening.
It was actually planned for.
It does feel like something's happening after that meeting with Zelensky in
Oh, by the way, I think this is what you were talking about, Andrea, that the U.S. and Ukraine have officially signed the, let me get this down, oh, get out of here, have officially signed the deal. U.S. and Ukraine signed mineral resource agreement. The U.S. and Ukraine have signed the deal to create the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund, long-awaited deal that gives the U.S. rights to Ukrainian rare earth minerals. Both sides announced on Wednesday. This agreement signals clearly to Russia that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in a press release. President Trump envisioned this partnership between the American people and the Ukrainian people to show both sides' commitment to lasting peace and prosperity in Ukraine. And to be clear, no state, excuse me, or person who financed or supplied the Russian war machine will be allowed to benefit from the reconstruction of Ukraine. Ukrainian Minister of the Economy, Yulia Srivdenko, said in a post on X, "Together with the United States, we are creating the fund that will attract global investment into our country." In a video discussion deal and post on X, Bessent gave more details about the deal. Oh, well, let's see where's his, let's see. Why not post it? Do we have that, guys? Do we have a link to that? Hold on. This partnership allows the United States to invest alongside Ukraine to unlock Ukraine's growth assets, mobilize American talent, capital, and governance standards that will improve Ukraine's investment climate and accelerate Ukraine's economic recovery. Both sides were ready to sign the agreement on critical minerals and others, but the U.S. said it wanted the main minerals resource agreement signed and the creation of an investment fund document signed at the same time. Let's see, Minister Denis Shmyhal and a source of the Ukrainian president's office said. They had planned to separate the signing dates as the creation of the fund agreement was still being finalized. Now they'll be rushing to finish it. So they agreed to agree on it. Okay. Yada yada. So yada yada yada. Yada yada. So that's good news. Bad news for Russia. We'll see what happens.
in St. Peter's. You posted this on social media. There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas and cities and towns over the last few days, it makes me think that maybe...
Well, that was part of my post, but you're right. That was a part of a post.
And it says, it makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. He's just tapping me along.
Yeah, that's possible. Sure.
He might be...
He could be tapping me along a little bit. I would
Tapping you along?
say that he would like to stop the war. I think that if it weren't for me, I think he'd want to take over the whole country, personally. I always felt.
He still does.
So when I left, there wasn't even...
Yeah, so the investment fund is just the beginning of the start of it. It means that America will be one of the big investors in it to help invest in Ukraine and get access to those rare earth minerals. And the idea is that some of it will be paid back to the United States in the form of rare earth minerals once they are taken from the ground. But in the interim, it creates an investment fund that other countries, and it's backed by a loan guarantee from the United States, other countries could invest in Ukraine with the safety of an investment fund backed by the United States. Trump has no idea. Besant, and Marco Rubio are like whispering in his ear that this will show Ukraine, and in reality, they're helping.
a chance that this would happen. When Biden got involved, I won't say whether or not he handled it properly, but obviously it wasn't good because the war started. Putin went in, the war started. I believe that Putin wanted to get all of Ukraine once he went in. And I think part of the reason he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan, how incompetently Milley and all these guys handled that. It was one of the greatest embarrassments of our lifetimes.
Which, again, would have been the greatest misjudging of a circumstance in the history of the world. If that's what Putin believed, then he was wrong. Like if he looked at Afghanistan and went, oh, this is the perfect time to go in. Look how weak they are. That's fucking ridiculous. Secondly, it's not at all what he said. He's running out of time to do it. He had to do it now. He had to shit or get off the pot or he was screwed because their demographic issues are every year you push, it's less and less a possibility you could even pull off what little success they thought they might have.
Maybe in the history of our country. Okay. So Putin went in. I think Putin wanted all of Ukraine.
Right.
Yeah. You think?
I think if I didn't win the election, he would have gotten all of Ukraine.
What? Based on what? The fact that it's taken him 3 years to seize an area a fifth the size of Rhode Island?
I think he would have taken all of Ukraine. I think his first choice, never with me, he would have never gone in. With this group of losers.
Well, then why doesn't he leave as soon as you're in? If he never would have gone in because of you, he's so scared, then why doesn't he leave immediately now that you're in? Oh, shit, Daddy's home. The sheriff's back in town.
He went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He said, wow, this is my chance.
And fucked up immensely?
Because it was always the apple of his eye. I talked to him. Ukraine was the apple of his eye.
The apple of his eye. Jesus Christ. Sorry, do you just always use phrases that Jeffrey Epstein used when driving by a high school?
I think he wanted the whole country.
You've said for months.
And because of me, I do believe that he's willing to stop the fighting.
Jesus Christ. No, you don't. No, you don't. Hold on. I feel like, where is it?
With takes for nothing!
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's all I need!
Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think.
And I have to say that. Otherwise, pee-pee tape.
He does. I think because
Even with the
of
raining
me,
missiles
I
on.
think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of
Because he failed, thank you, Joe Biden.
me, he's
Sorry.
not going to do that.
Is that loud?
Do you trust
I
him?
think-
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't
Great. We have a paranoid in the White House.
trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and
happy.
then
Shooting for bear.
you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered
All
with
right,
a
we're back to
tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know.
all right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No, I
just
am
tell
not,
you, do I
sir.
trust? I don't trust a lot of people, but I do
Yeah, well, like Pete Hegseth, I guess. That'd be at top of the list.
think this. I think that let's say he respects me.
He said he did, and he said he would call, and he never did.
And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a war that never should have happened. It did happen because of incompetent people.
Last question on this.
But it never should have happened.
If there's no peace deal, will the U.S. cut off military aid to Ukraine?
I don't want to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I would or not. I want to leave that as a big fat secret because I don't want to ruin it.
A big fat secret. He's really got away with words, doesn't he? He's a master media manipulator.
Negotiation. But
I'd be worried
I will
if I
tell
were
you,
Ukrainian.
I was not happy when I saw Putin shooting missiles into a few towns and cities, and that
Yeah, he's been doing that for 3 years.
was not something that I liked seeing, and I thought it was inappropriate. But
Inappropriate. Adorable.
I think the whole war is inappropriate.
Okay.
Again,
It is. Inappropriate. Inappropriate.
it's a war that shouldn't have happened. This is a war that if the election weren't rigged, and it was totally rigged, the 2020 election, if it weren't rigged,
Hey, asshole, how about you deal with the reality you're in instead of just trying to plaster over other shit and blame everybody else for you promising everybody you could solve this in 24 hours with one fucking phone call, and you can't. You fucking wastoid, you can't. You can't do it. You can't. That's what this is about. It doesn't have anything to do with Biden or whether Putin saw what he liked in Afghanistan or hated what he saw in Afghanistan or was for it or against it. Didn't matter. None of that shit matters. None of it. None of it matters. What matters is you promised everybody something you can't deliver, and you're too weak of a person to admit it.
you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have had the embarrassment of Afghanistan. You wouldn't have October 7th with Israel. You wouldn't have had any of the problems that you have right now.
I want to ask one question.
And you wouldn't have had inflation either.
All right. I want to ask one question about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. There's a lot of turmoil at the Pentagon right now. There's the signal chat with his...
Let me guess, he's going to assume there was only one signal story. He hasn't been allowed to hear the rest of it, or he's pretending he hasn't. And Pete Hegseth and all these guys have been running interference so they don't find out that there was a second signal chat with his fucking wife in it, and that he ran a fucking... Maybe he sets it up. Maybe, you know, I got to say, Miranda's actually been fairly good at phrasing these. He just backs down to
wife on it where he's discussing that attack in Yemen. There's another signal chat discussing the attack on Yemen. There's a reporter accidentally involved. You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him.
There is no woodshed. I'm not aware. I haven't had wood in years. I mean, as far as Terry, you ask these incredible questions about, you know, wood.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
I mean, if I was going to take somebody to the woodshed, it would be Tucker.
I like wood, deeper and longer.
And whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you.
If I remember, which I don't.
But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young. He's smart, highly educated.
I mean, he worked at Fox News. Simmer down.
And
on the weekend show, he's like the B string on Fox and Friends.
I think he's going to be a very good defense, hopefully a great defense secretary.
When's he going to start? Because right now he's a shit defense secretary. He's ass. He's a fuck up. He's terrible at this job. So if he's going to be a great one, when? Can we have a date?
But he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have 100% confidence in
I don't
Pete
have
Hegseth.
100% confidence in anything. Okay? Anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look.
It's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Let's go.
We will. Let's go. Wow. Fucking Terry Moran. Oh, we're going to finish this, motherfucker. We're going to finish this shit. Okay. All right. I guess we are. Maybe. Yeah, I would, this has not been going well. This is not as this is going well face. I'm just saying, for the record. All right. We'll skip forward to whatever the hell through the next ad break.
Elon Musk and Doge. Everyone knows that there's wasteful government spending. It's really important.
Yes. Hey, by the way, government spending has gone up. Can I just interject that we are spending more money this year in government spending than we were last year when Joe Biden was president. Just for the record, spending is up. Fiscal year, by the way, just April to April. Just so you know, it's fucking. We're barely at May, and we're already spending whatever $156 billion more than we spent last year, which totally wipes out the alleged savings by Doge. Didn't zero it out. Didn't go, oh, we took 150 from there and we put it there. They literally took 150 out of here and we're spending $300 billion more than we were spending last year. It's 150 over last year, but apparently all the money they removed, they've fucking filled in someplace else.
But the cuts have had some serious consequences. There have been cuts to foreign aid programs that save lives and keep people alive overseas. There's been research at the National Institutes of Health on cancer, on Alzheimer's, that has had to be stopped. And the question I think people have is, did Doge go too far, too fast, too recklessly?
No, I think Doge has been saved $150 billion. Billion.
Yeah, again. We're 150 billion overspending from last year, which means and I'm taking him 100% at his word, which I do not, but let's say they saved 150 billion. That means he added 300 billion. If they hadn't made those cuts, we'd be 300 billion over what we spent last year.
We saved, that's a lot of money.
It's also bullshit.
There's also a lot.
You save, how do you define saving money that would have gone to people who might have cancer and could have survived? Hashtag Doge is a heist.
A lot of things right now under investigation, which is going to increase that amount by a lot. That's a tremendous amount of money. There were some things where, when I heard about them, I put them back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but
So they did go too fast and do a lot of wrong shit.
Overall, we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150 billion, and heading south.
You don't know what it's going to be because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now.
Oh, well, you didn't say that. I beg your pardon. Sorry, there are things that are being looked at a very high level, are they? Things. I see. Things. Well, shit. I didn't realize. And I mean, these are obviously big economic phrases that a lot of us don't understand.
Oh, hello there.
All right.
We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse.
No, you didn't.
As you know, we found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud.
Why has no one been charged with fraud then? Why have you not forwarded some of this stuff to Pam Bondi and she hasn't announced charges against people for giant, huge, ridiculous, sexy, fucked up, dangerous, un-American, bloated fraud?
Fraudulent things were taking place.
Oh dear.
And
let me guess, Stacey Abrams, you don't think she shouldn't have got $2 billion for an environmental fund to guide it, not to spend?
Did that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
They're going to suffer.
Legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any of
Well, you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the, are there criminal referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think.
Well, none that have been said by, what, are you guys holding back the referrals then?
They generally, all right, there's been no investigation from the Justice Department.
Know that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
now I'm asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
I'm
been.
asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the work of
there have been. Take a look at some of these things that took place.
How would you know? Take a look at the things. Look at the things that say there are. Because on the one hand, because you haven't announced any, because they haven't filed any, because it's public fucking record, because the people who are charged with fraud would know it. They would have received notice of it themselves. Nobody's gotten a fucking notice from someone like, oh shit, I'm being busted for fraud, or people hiring a big lawyer because they've been caught, with billion-dollar fraud cases.
Billions of dollars we give it to people for no reason whatsoever.
Let me guess, Stacey
Of
Abrams.
course they have
I
that.
want to bring up what is truly to a lot of people, one of the biggest achievements of your first term. That is Operation Warp Speed. You got that.
Oh boy, Operation Fart Steed, ladies and gentlemen. You can't go wrong. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on.
Captain's log.
There we go. Operation Fart Steed.
Captain's log.
There you go.
COVID vaccine up and going and distributed, and a lot of people took it, and a lot of people feel their lives have been saved by it. Now we have this measles outbreak, biggest in a decade, in Texas, and it's because people are...
I love, one of the best things you can do as a reporter, by the way, and Terry's doing it pretty good here, is bait Trump into nodding and then hit him with the roundhouse. The woman who covers the fact that he turned on gain of function study in the Wuhan lab after Obama had turned it off, is like, she doesn't even mean to do it. She does it accidentally, but that's pretty glorious.
Getting their children vaccinated. Do you recommend to parents that they get their children vaccinated for measles?
Well, I recommend the governors to make the decisions. You have a very talented governor of Texas.
It's not my decision. I'm not the guy. It's not my fucking fault. If a bunch of kids die because my fucking HHS secretary if it's just because I picked RFK Jr., I'm to blame because a bunch of people are like, all of a sudden, don't take a vaccine because he says don't take a vaccine, and that's my fucking fault? What did I mean, I don't even know this guy. He used to be a Democrat. Isn't that last name's Kennedy?
And he's making decisions, and those decisions are going to be made rapidly. This is a very much...
Rapidly? I don't know, maybe you should think about him. Slow the fuck down.
Different thing.
By the way, maybe that was part of the problem, was and you'll recall that was people, they had a problem with Operation Fart Steed.
Captain's log.
Because they thought the vaccines were being put out too rapidly.
Than COVID in terms of rapidity and speed and other things.
Rapidity.
Measles have been with us a long time. And
yeah. But because we got our kids vaccinated, we didn't have to worry about it killing them.
And I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that...
That's leadership.
The governors are making the decision. It's a federalist decision.
The president is our leader in so many ways, and your voice counts so much. And you can't tell moms and dads, it's a good thing to get a measles vaccine.
Do I recommend it?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I recommend it, yeah.
Got it. That
do
was
I
my
mandate
question.
it? No.
No, I didn't.
But I do recommend it, yes.
Good. Do you think you're...
And I have recommended it.
Do you think the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has a history of, at the very least, vaccine skepticism, do you think Kennedy recommends the measles vaccine?
He did. He recommended it. Yeah, he did.
You satisfied with his
he
response on this?
recommended that they go out and get the vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah, after dead kid number 2.
Still ahead.
Still ahead. Rambly blambly. Hold on. Let me jump ahead. God damn, this is fucking... I mean, kudos to Moran. I mean, like, it's got to be a weird thing to sit there across from this dipshit. But good Lord.
I want to talk a little bit about presidential power, the powers that you have in the presidency.
Also, I'd like to remind everybody that the reason he's doing an actual interview with ABC News in the Oval Office is because his tariff stuff is shitting the bed and the polls are bad. Just for the record, understand that, okay? Understand that he's doing this because he has to. Everybody's like, you need to calm the markets. You need to show people you're in charge. You need to go where the normies are, not just talk to Maggot World. It's not working. You can't just fucking hang around with Kid Rock. You got to go talk to you can bullshit yourself about all the Joe Rogan gets numbers that the other, networks don't get. But in reality, people check in with those real networks when they actually have a fucking question. They just don't watch ratings-wise like habitual teenagers. And so you're kidding yourself if you think you could just hide behind Joe Rogan. You have to, because the markets are taking a shit. Your poll numbers suck. You have to go talk to these people and show them you're in charge. Now, it's terrible advice, even though it's true, because he's terrible at this.
Temporarily, that the American people have given you, right? You've revoked a lot of people's security clearances. You've revoked people's security details who are still threatened, with death threats. You've gone after law firms because they've employed people you don't like, or they have represented people you don't like.
Well, they obviously agreed because they paid me a lot of money.
Well, the reason they agreed is because you were threatened.
Because you have the power of the presidency to fuck them. Not because you're you, but because you could make their life a living hell. Just you could spend them out of existence because you're the federal government. You control those persons. You could set Pam Bondi on them and decimate them or make them unable to work for a decade.
To destroy their business with your executive order that said you can't represent clients for the federal government. That's their bread and butter.
Boys. These are the biggest, most powerful lawyers. These are not people
you got a lot of leverage
as president.
As president, you've got all the cards.
They paid hundreds of millions of dollars because they felt, they probably felt they did something wrong.
Or this is how bribery and extortion work. Because you fucking kidnapped their clients from them.
For survival, sir.
No, it isn't.
You're crushing their business.
These firms are very powerful firms, and there's 15 of them. And these are firms that probably, look, you have to ask them. In fact, this is a separate story. You have to ask them, why did you all pay Trump hundreds of millions of dollars?
Because he's extorting us. But we can't say that because he'll go through with his extortion even if we pay him.
In services, etc. Why did you do that? I don't know.
You don't think that
we have a clause in the thing that while we admit no wrongdoing, but it's like one of those things. And now I'm friendly with those firms, but it's these are the most powerful firms in the world, and they.
Yeah, and I hope when you're done being president that the fucking worm turns. Sorry, news on the Senate, 36 minutes past. Sorry, run that by me. Lawmakers unveil $150 billion in extra defense spending. Is that what that is? Or which part? Mine went right to Sky News, yeah. Which part? Okay, we'll check in. Hold on.
He just signed whatever I put in front of him. I've never seen anything like it. I'm actually surprised myself in a certain way. But
you're the president of the United States. Oh, the tariffs. Okay.
They obviously felt they probably did something wrong. I guess that's why they signed.
I don't know. I guess people who, I guess the people that were being blackmailed, let's see, not even blackmailed. People are being extorted, or you kidnap somebody's kid and you got their kid and they pay the ransom. I guess they felt bad as parents. That's why they paid. Right? Hold on. Oh, okay. So they did bipartisan measure 40. It was a tie. 2 senators missed the vote. Joining all Democrats, President Mitch McConnell and Sheldon Whitehouse, who voiced support for the measure, were absent from the vote and need a simple majority to pass. Oh, wow. So that means that if they vote on it again when, that's probably why they put it up when they did. But if they put it up again when Mitch McConnell or Sheldon Whitehouse are there, it would pass. And it passed 51-48 early to approve the limited resolution. Okay.
I guess the question out of that is the concern that people have. Are you using your powers as president to get personal revenge?
No, I'll tell you what. You're really not asking, and you should be asking. There has never been a president in this country, in the history, that was persecuted like I was persecuted by.
Are you waiting for someone to snap a football into your hands, or is this like how big you wish your dick was?
Really crooked people, dishonest, horrible people, and it's been proven. So when you say I'm treating people rough, I'm not treating people rough. I was treated worse than any president in the history of our country.
Oh, wait.
And, you know, people figured, well, maybe that's it. Finally, we got, you know, he's leaving town. There goes the helicopter. And then I came back. And I came back because I have tremendous support. You know, when you win an election like I won it, and you will admit I won all 7 swing states. I won the popular vote. I won 2,750 districts compared to 500 districts.
Counties. That's because most of the counties in the United States have very few people in them.
That's why the map is all red. And
because big areas where there are no people are considered red.
Those people feel that I was treated unfairly.
And those people, a good portion of them now, are second-guessing their vote.
But does that give you the right to go after your political opponents with the powers of this office?
I'm going after, all I'm doing,
all I'm doing is, come on.
Biden did something to me, and I did something to Biden. And you know why I did it? Because he's grossly incompetent. That's not a man that should be allowed to, you know, be looking at things that are very confidential.
But what about,
because he didn't,
71 people.
Here's a man that used an auto pen to sign very important documents.
Sorry, did you sign all of the pardons for the Jan 6ers by yourself in one day? All whatever 1,200 or 1,600 there were?
Now, who really is, do you think he knew that they were using an auto pen? I mean, he used an auto pen to sign very, very important documents. And so those are really the questions you should be asking. What do you think of the auto pen? Who wielded the auto pen? Because
who cares? If he says that yes, 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 he doesn't have to actually he doesn't have to give himself fucking carpal tunnel, Mr. Giant Sharpie, where you haven't, how many bills have you signed? One? The totally bipartisan Take It Down Act, which is about online porn, which was written by a revenge porn that was written by a Democrat.
Whoever that person was, think of it, whoever the person that wielded the auto pen, he was really the president of the United States, because I don't think that Biden knew anything about it.
Fair enough. But you are the president now, and I'm asking the justification for going after people you don't like.
No. People that I think are dishonest. It's not that I don't even know most of them.
I just wake up in the morning yelling their name, and sometimes in the middle of the night sweating.
They're people that I think
These
are
people made you angry.
No, it's not anger. These are people that I think are very dishonest. I don't think they're worthy of...
How would you know they're dishonest if you don't know who they are?
Being able to go into top secret information. I think that's fine. And Biden did that with many of our people. But when you look at it, these are people that I don't think are worthy. That's my decision. It's not a question of anger.
Okay. I understand you just had a phone call with the new Canadian premier, and...
You shit the bed.
They just had this election?
Yeah.
You were a big issue in it. And Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over, Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a...
This is their prerogative. Yeah, it's their fucking country, too.
There's a lot of... travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational damage.
The country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up.
It's going to be, yeah. For your funeral, maybe.
See the numbers? The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now, Canada...
Not now. Sometimes the answer just comes out. And by the way, can I just say that, like, he and I could do really well in a revival of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Cameron, what we didn't see anything. We went to a baseball game. We ate pancreas. When Moran was in Egypt's land, let carry more and go.
Tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
Oh, 6 months. Sure. Hang out. It might suck through the entire summer. But, yeah, late November, early, through September, October. Oh, so good.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're...
Yeah, everybody's just they call up all the time and they say, we love you, and it sounds like fuck you, but it means it's they speak another language.
A respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world.
You still are.
Had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't...
Why don't you walk down a ramp? How come, by the way, we don't see you entering and leaving a room anymore?
Walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion, but more importantly, thank you for having us here. I have one more question. It's a big one. It's a question that you know a lot.
Uh-oh.
A lot of people have out there.
What's your fucking problem? How can you be this stupid?
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No, I would hate them to think that.
Well, then don't act that way.
I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country...
No, we really weren't.
...that was laughed at all over the world. We had a...
By the way, they're still laughing at him.
...leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe.
Yes, no one can believe it. Mainly because of the lack of evidence that that's happening.
I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it.
No. The New York Times says 100 days, I think, like no one's ever seen before, mocking your phrase. For the record, mocking the fact that you say that all the time. And then they have a list of all the shit that's going down.
Our country's coming back and we're respected again.
No, not at all.
Mr. President.
Also, the country's coming back and we're respected again. So fuck you if you think I'm an authoritarian. That's just what we need to have the country I think we like or want to have. That's what makes it great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much.
Thank you, Terry, very much, even though you suck and ABC sucks. And I hate this. And MS-13 is totally on that guy's knuckles. And I'm going to look afterwards. And if it's not still there, I'm calling the police on you. You will be sent to Guantanamo. Holy shit. So, real quick, he does a thing afterwards. Let's see if, where is this? And is that him? Yeah, there he is. Trump did a thing also in
People pouring in on a monthly.
Hold on.
They're really amazing.
So after this, Trump did a thing where he, another example of how bad things are going, is that he had one of these, like, remember when he did that thing in the Rose Garden where he was like showing like cereal and standing by boxes of fucking Fruit Loops and going, ah? Remember that shit? Okay. He had another one of those, but they had a bunch of business leaders come in like Massa and a couple other business leaders, and he just wanted to call them out. Remember when he was saying, these people want to do these deals, they want a big public showing of this, you know, and I don't have time for it. So nobody was buying that shit. Okay, let me see. Is this the right one? Hold on. Make sure this is it's him. There's Massa. Yeah. They go through these businesses. Is this the one? Hold on. Yeah. Okay. There's got to be a better angle on it. Hold on, because I need to show you the angle on this is just hilarious. So, okay, that's their exclusive. Let's go. Yeah. This Trump. business, investment, something like that. Remarks on investing in America. This is it, I think. So this was a big gaggle where, hold on, everybody was gathered around. This just goes on for a while. There's that Loeffler and other people, and then they're standing around. Later on, Pete Hegseth shows up. Here, I'll show you this, and it breaks down. They kind of forget that this camera's running, I guess. It's like a half hour this thing is on. And it's just on and on. There they go. So there's Doug Burgum, and I think that's Pam Bondi. And there's Jensen Huang, who actually is probably the only real businessman there or anybody with any fucking skills. And then Hegseth has no idea. Huang obviously bumped into him and dropped a small device in his pocket that Hegseth won't find for weeks. There's Nutlick, Howard Nutlick. And they're all whispering and chit-chatting and all this kind of stuff. And like right in front, look at this, right in front of the fucking camera. And she even cups her mouth away from Doug Burgum. She does like this. And she's like talking straight into his neck with the camera right here. Like fucking super spies, right? So they go through this and then they're waiting. There's the entire cabinet has to be there for this suck fest. And there's Byron Donalds, I think, and then some rando business dude, crypto asshole, and then they come in and they're all waiting and waiting and waiting for Trump. This event was supposed to start a half an hour ago, and he doesn't come out until he's 40 minutes late for this dipshittery. So here you go. Jesus Christ, are they playing like the fucking Darth Vader's theme? Bum 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 da 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 da. Right, the Imperial March. Right, blah blah blah.
And the biggest political leaders around, I guess you could say, but by far much bigger are the business leaders. It's not even close. I say that to my friends, the politicians. You have the greatest business leaders in the world here, so it's an honor. And this week we're celebrating the most successful.
Yes, by bringing out 2 fucking IKEA shelves and putting shit on them, boxes that have stickers that say "Made in America." Yeah. Hey, guess what, asshole? No question. No question whatsoever. A lot of cardboard boxes are made in the United States. Almost all of Amazon's cardboard boxes made right here in the good old U.S.
First 100 days of any administration in American history. We're thrilled to welcome to the White House dozens of the world top leaders of all kinds.
The world top leaders? Is that a new game? Like the world top games?
But in particular business leaders. And since the election, the companies represented in this room have collectively announced more than $2 trillion in new investments. And we have a total of close to $8 trillion all told. And there's never been anything like that in this country. We've never.
Yeah, there has. Lots of times. It's fairly normal.
Had anything close?
.com, like the car boom of the 70s, like the insurgence of retail investors. Yeah.
I would say if you looked at the last administration, probably for 4 years, they did maybe less than 1. And we've done almost 8. I would say we'll be above 8 in a period of 2 months.
Gibberish.
So something happened.
Yeah, you know what happened? The fucking Chips and Science Act.
I think two things happened. November 5th happened, and November 5th.
And the infrastructure bill and the rescue package and the, yeah. Sorry. This is their audio, so let me see if I can find, maybe hold on. I'll switch back and forth to this, and maybe the audio is better here. Hold on.
Very much.
Yeah,
Brian, thank you, Brian. More important are the companies here. There are too many, and we've done.
There he goes. He comes in there.
But by far, much bigger are the business leaders. New investments, and we have a total of close to $8 trillion. Right. Maybe less than 1 period of 2 months. So something
That is, by the way, the brand new Shahed butt plug over there. It's, they're flying off the shelves.
happened.
And up your ass.
I think two things happened. November 5th happened, and November 5th gave you tariffs, intelligently used tariffs, and very
Intelligently used tariffs. You mean the reciprocal ones from from overseas, the ones they're attacking us with?
other forms of incentive. But it's really amazing. There's never been, I don't think there's ever been
Anything like it? There's never been anything like it, like no one's ever seen before?
anything like this anywhere in the world. Together, we're going to bring back the most beautiful words. I always say, made in the USA, the most beautiful
I thought tariff was the most beautiful word.
words. We're going to have made in the USA like we haven't had before in a long time. In addition to the business leaders whose companies I will mention in just a moment, we have some great
Or in just a moment, but sure.
people.
I mean, you know what? Let's be honest. Some words were meant to be skipped. You'll not know. I said a whole other sentence in between those words, but I didn't think it was important, so I cut them out.
Great senators, Martha, where are you? Where are you, Martha? Martha?
Marcia, Martha, Martha Blackburn, Marsha Blackburn.
Marsha, thank you very much. Marsha Blackburn, Bill Cassidy. Bill, thank you, Bill. Ashley
Or as some people call him, Bleh.
Moody. Ashley, thank you. And John Husted. John, thank you very much. And Representatives Byron Donalds, Buddy Carter, Rob Whitman, Mark Alford, Mike Rogers, Richard Hudson, and Abe Hamadeh. Thank you all very much.
You guys are awesome. I don't care about you. You're small potatoes in the house.
We have Mike Kehoe, governors, Jim Pillen, Kevin Stitt, Mike Dunleavy, along with numerous other members of my cabinet. And I want
that are too hard to pronounce.
to thank you all for being here. How come my cabinet has such good locations? You should have given them up to the business leaders. We want their money, you know. They have very good locations. I'm not surprised. 100 days ago this week.
Maybe they don't want to sit right in front of you where the cameras can see them there. Maybe they're ashamed. Maybe your cabinet sat there because they're like, no, I'm good in the back. Thanks, buddy.
We inherited the wreckage of 4 years of economic disaster under the previous administration. It was an economic disaster.
It says so on the paper.
It was a disaster at the border like nobody had ever seen before. And you probably see we've closed up the border 99.
No, I haven't. It's like nobody's ever seen before. It's like they've been blind forever.
0.999%, meaning 3 people got in. 3.
Yeah, but they were. One was a terrorist, the other one was a child sex trafficker, and the other one was a multiple murderer. And now that the border's closed, they can't get out. So they're just running around here for the foreseeable future until you assure us that they've been removed. Now, don't let the fact that they are babies sway you from kicking them out of the country. Because clearly they're danger babies.
As opposed to hundreds of thousands of people coming in on a monthly basis, millions of people actually. There are periods where we had millions and millions of people pouring in on a monthly basis. We had 3 people.
By the way, I'm going to stay until 5:30 and then my time, and then Brian starts his show, and I'll raid him, and then I'll join him over there. I'll bounce from here to there if that's cool with you guys. I just want to show you a bit of this.
Companies and crippling regulations, waged war on American energy, pushed massive tax hikes, and gave us the word.
Okay, I just want you to see which companies he singles out and what they're doing. Never mind the fact that the tech companies are all there because of the Chips and Science Act and keeping that funding around. That's what they're trying to do, all right?
Worst inflation in the history of our country. And we lost 106,000. All that happens today. But this is Biden's little bit of time heating up after the election. Even though I wasn't there, people knew what we were going to be doing, and the private sector growth was actually very good.
And then it took a shit once you started doing things.
Very importantly, gross domestic investment was up an incredible 22%, which they had never seen before.
Yeah, promised investment, much of which was just like their 5 or 10 year plan was expressed as a single year. which is not what it is. You're listing, like, if they're like, we're going to put $5 trillion in over the course of 10 years, then you're just counting it like $5 trillion this year. Excellent. That means we could count $5 trillion per year for the next 4. That's $20 trillion. It's fucking magic.
Every new investment, every new factory, and every new job created is a sign of strength in American economy and a declaration of confidence in America's future. We really do. We've never seen anything like this, even.
Yeah, we've never seen the stock market take a giant shit and investors flee while being so excited about the future.
Samsung, whose name isn't mentioned here, but I heard that they announced this morning that they're going to be building a very big plant because they want to be able to beat the tariffs. It's the only way to beat them. You
know what this reminds me of? Did you guys ever see the movie Dragnet? Please tell me you have. I'll leave you on this because I only have a few minutes. Everybody see the movie Dragnet? It's a great fucking movie. I mean, Aykroyd, Tom Hanks together. Christopher Plummer is a genius in it. Dabney Coleman is amazing, and Dabney Coleman basically plays this Hugh Hefner character, and Christopher Plummer plays the leader of the Moral Advance Movement of America, Mama, and he's like this giggly kind of preacher who talks like Patrick Robertson. You know, that's where he based the character on. But there's a point where in the movie, which is very telling. He goes, he's standing at, like, Christopher Plummer's character is standing there. The Reverend is standing at this podium at this meeting about depravity and sickness, and L.A. is a cesspool and blah, blah, blah. And the mayor's right there. And he goes, that's why the owner of Bait Magazine, Jerry, what's his name? Anyways, he goes, I'll be happy to tell you that he has agreed to donate $1 million to our moral advance movement of America. Yes, praise Jesus. Whatever, he says it later. And then later on they meet together, and he goes, Reverend, I saw your little announcement. Do yourself a favor. Try the lottery. Because he'd never intended to give him $1 million. And then he goes, no, what you'll do is you'll give me that $1 million, and then I'll fight the sleaze, and half the city will line up to buy your sleaze, and half of them will line up to pay me to police it, right? Pagans. People against goodness and normalcy. Pagan. Pagan. That's great, Joe. Yeah, but that's what this is. Like, he goes up there and he's like, they're going to build a factory. Like, do yourself a favor, Reverend. Try the lottery. With Dan Aykroyd as Jack Webb? Yeah. Well, as Jack Webb's son, because he has a picture of him on his desk. He's Joe Friday's son in the movie. So, anyway, so that's what this is. Like, he announces these things. It's his own version of the Macron handshake.
Our Trump economic agenda is about making it easier to do business in America, to create jobs in America, to hire American workers, and to build your factories here in America, not in China or any other country. And we're dealing with many, many countries right now, I will say. And
yeah. Oh, totally. Guys, I know what your fucking problem is. It's happening, okay? That's all you need to know, okay? It's all working out. Thank God it's Friday. I recognize the taste. I can't place it. Milk. Fresh, wholesome milk. Good for healthy bones and strong teeth and healthy bones. But that's probably Greek to you, isn't it, Mr. Gingivitis?
I think I can say for Scott and for Howard and for some of the people that are dealing, there are too many to handle. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd love to hire some of the people running these companies. Boy, would you do a good job.
Yes, do that. Hire those people and let them live stream their time at the office while they sit around waiting for these magical fucking phones to ring.
I could have Jensen negotiate. He'd blow my people away, wouldn't you? I think even Howard would say that. Howard would say, we'll take them. He'd blow them away. He would make deals. One deal would be the end. That would be it. But we've terminated the Green New scam. It was a scam. And halted tens of billions of dollars of money, wasteful deficit spending. It was like throwing money right out the window.
Yeah.
And in the coming weeks, we'll pass the largest tax cuts in American history. And I think even more so, we'll be doing things for business like you've never.
Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Wait. Did he freeze? What happened? 1 second. Oh, that page is loading and being weird. Reload. Nothing but reload.
First
After
100
explaining to the
days
proprietors of the milk factory that they were helpless to take legal action
There's never
against
been
us.
anything like it. So now we're at the lowest scale for a large country, by far the lowest scale. Our pro-jobs, pro-American economic policies are a major reason that businesses around the world have announced $5 trillion of investment since November.
Boy, he's getting really slobbery.
And now we think it's up to plus 8 trillion. And they're really.
No, you're just making it up because none of the numbers sound good enough to make up for the money you've wiped out. You can't say they've promised us $5 trillion over the next 10 years while I wiped out $5 trillion in one fucking month.
Coming in, they're really coming in fast. Some of them don't bother calling us. Some of them don't even want meetings. They don't want. They just start their plants and start their factories.
Because they made deals with the Biden administration last year?
I want to express my tremendous appreciation to the business leaders here. You are really an amazing group. This is a who's who. I don't want to say, there's an expression if something ever went off, the entire industry would be wiped out, but I won't say that. I want to think very positively.
Yeah, especially since there's a bomb right next to you because you allowed the guys from fucking Palantir to bring a drone in. And there's a jet engine where the ass of it is pointed at you?
And that could never happen here, could it? But I want to congratulate you all on your incredible success and accomplishments. You've been amazing. You're the biggest and the best. So I'd like to introduce some of you, President and CEO.
So this is the introductions.
CEO of Hyundai, Jose Munoz. Jose, thank you very much. Fantastic.
Munoz.
Jose is investing $21 billion, including $5.8 billion for a new steel plant in Louisiana, which is a beauty. I saw a picture of it, which is going to create at least 1,500 jobs, just the plant alone. Thank you very much, Jose. Beautiful.
Yeah, it'll almost make up for the 6,000 jobs that were just lost there.
Chairman and CEO.
Except it won't.
Of global shipping giant CMA, CGM, Rudolph Sadeh. Thank you, Rodolphe. Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Great. You'll be in charge of shipping stuff into the country that we don't allow to ship in the country anymore. That you'll be great. You work at those ports because we're trying to stop everything coming in.
Investing $20 billion in creating 10,000 new jobs at least. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. You'll be very happy. President and CEO of Toyota North America, Ted Ogawa, investing $88 billion. Where's Ted? That's fantastic. Thank you, Ted.
$88 billion? I don't think so. I don't think he's investing $88 billion.
That's fantastic. Ted's investing $88 million for.
This is Christ. Who made this list? Fucking Doge? Give it up. I'm glad he sat down.
And CEO of Toyota North America, Ted Ogawa, investing $88 billion. Where's Ted?
$88 billion.
That's fantastic. Thank
Ted.
you, Ted.
Great job,
That's
Ted.
Fantastic. Ted's investing $88 million for car production at.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little. Hey, an M and a B here. What's the difference?
It's West Virginia factory, which is a beauty. I've seen it, actually. Congratulations. Thank you very much for being here, Ted. Co-founder and CEO of Anduril, Brian Schimpf.
Oh, yeah. Anduril, a defense contractor Gee, I wonder where they think they're going to get the money to develop things. I'm sure it'll be fresh money brought from outside the country, and it's just investment coming from all over the world. It's not him just explaining how taxpayer money will be spent on a new defense program.
Brian, thank you, Brian. He's investing $1 billion for a new manufacturing facility in Ohio and display. Next to me is their 125-pound Roadrunner drone. Where is it?
Okay, this is the fun part, please. Where is it? He's 50 minutes in, so around this, hold on. Where do I have it? It's over here. Okay, this is... Come here, you. Wait. This is before this. There it is.
Investing...
Hold on.
Next to me is their 125-pound Roadrunner drone. Where is that little sucker? Where is it?
Gee, where would it be, that 125-pound Roadrunner drone? Where could that... What is it? Is it that little green thing on the shelf? Is that little, like, fucking piece of gear next to it? Maybe it's this thing. The fucking R2D2 dildo. R2 dildo over here. What could it possibly, where would it be? Where could it be?
Is that, whoa, that's a nasty looking thing. That's a nasty, I look up there when I'm having dinner outside. I used to look up and see the moon. Isn't it beautiful? Now you see the moon, but you see drones all over the place. And I say, let's get the hell out of here. That's,
Yeah, what? When? What? You used to look up and see the moon when you're eating dinner, and now you look up and you see drones all over the place?
That's a good one, isn't it, huh? I can say it.
Yeah, it's a good one, huh? I mean, it's good in a bad way, or bad in a good way.
CEO of Worldwide Amazon Stores, Doug Harrington. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doug, very much. Investing
Worldwide Amazon stores, they're not affected by tariffs.
$4 billion this year alone, and I know they said they're going to be investing a lot over the next 2 years. We appreciate it very much. Thank you, and say hello to everybody. CEO of Venture Global, Mike Sable. Mike, thank you.
Venture Global, just capital.
Much, Mike. Investing $18 billion in liquefied natural gas expansion in Louisiana. That's going to work out good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in an afternoon. That's what's going to happen. It's not their budgeted percentage of their overall possible revenues over a decade.
President and CEO of Siemens USA, big company. Barbara Humpton.
Really, Barbara Humpton is the president of Siemens? Stop it. Stop it. You guys, simmer down. I'm going to get knocked off Facebook. This is filth.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much.
Barbara, they're coming for you, Barbara.
200.
Sorry, I didn't mean... Barbara Humpins, CEO of Siemens. They're coming for you, Barbara. I'm sorry.
$5 million.
Delivers remarks on investing in America. Fabulous. This is Forbes, yeah. Did I miss one before? Hold on. Did he say something else?
Thank you very much. That's great. $5 billion. Founder and CEO, Chobani Hamde Oleaka.
I swear to God, somebody one of these days is just going to put a Mike Hunt and,
Where are you?
he's going to go, thank God, an easy name to say.
Very much.
Oh, they spelled America wrong? Oh, my God, you're right. I breezed right past it. America. Maybe they didn't. Maybe that's how they spell it. President Trump delivers remarks on investing in America. Americo. America. Oh, my God, I didn't even look at that. I was so busy dealing with how stupid he is. You know how somebody, like, his stupidity eclipses all the other stupid in the scene?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for spotting that.
CEO of Bell Brands USA, Yvonne Girard. Yvonne, thank you very much. Thank you very much. $350 million. President of Schneider Electric North America, Amr Paul. Amr, thank you very much. Investing $700 million for energy infrastructure.
This is like when they read the big donors' names at it after church. You know what I mean? Like people who put a lot, like wrote checks and put them in the tray.
Largest investment in its 135-year history. Chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson. Oh, I know. I've heard of that company, huh?
Yeah, they're the ones who's in Operation Fart Steed. They're the ones whose vaccine was using the old system and giving people heart palpitations. The mRNA vaccines did not.
My hair looks so beautiful because of your product. What?
Sorry, monoclonal antibodies?
Duato, $55 billion manufacturing plant and research and development and...
Wait a minute. Does he fucking use Prel or something?
Technology. Thank you very much. $55 billion. That's a lot. But you got to catch up with Apple and some of the others. We got to get you to make a little... You one of the few companies that could do that, right? Chair and CEO of Eli Lilly, a great guy. Every time I talk to him about drug prices, he sweet talks me. He tells me about the middleman. The middleman keeps telling me about the middleman. By the time I leave the meetings, I was telling my people, I say, gee, he's giving us a great bargain. You know, but David, you have done some job. David Ricks, you have done some job. I'll see you later too.
Jesus.
$27 billion.
I'll see you later too. We're having dinner. We're gonna have dinner and play golf, right? Dude, sweet talks me. I feel like I'm being used. It's hilarious or whatever. But I'll see you later. Call me. Hold on, let me stretch something out. There we go. Let's see. Where was it?
Why don't I just hold on to it until the formal presentation?
All right, there you go.
Dollars doubling its manufacturing investment in the U.S., and he's got a very hot topic right now going, don't you? This stuff is doing really well, isn't it? Really hot company. Thank you very much, David.
It's doing great, huh? You doing anything, huh?
CEO of Novartis, Vas Narasimhan, and that's $23 billion. Thank you.
Vas Narasimhan. All right. Okay, there we go. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to join Boston Brian. I'm also going to raid him on Twitch, so give me 1 second to switch over to there, and I will hop over and talk with him. But don't forget to hit a like on your way out the door. Don't just use me as a way to get to Boston Brian. I'm very sensitive to that. You know, he's young and hot, and I'm old and decrepit. All right, so give me a minute, and I will. I'm gonna raid, and we'll throw over there. So, goodbye and hello, something like that. Okay, we're starting the raid now. Get ready, everybody. Everybody on Twitch, get ready for the raid. Everybody on YouTube, you're going to have to find your way over to his channel yourself. Almost there. Almost there. And raiding. Ta-da! Okay. All right. I'll see you in a minute.